Hey guys, it's Summoning Rush. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Object 907. This is the Tier 10 campaign reward vehicle that everyone thinks is overpowered. So this vehicle, basically, I don't think it's overpowered. Basically, what I have found with this vehicle is that it's a cross between the 62A and the Object 140 and the Object 40. It's like a mix of all of those. What you find is that it has semi-reliable armor, a bit like the 430 where you can sometimes get lucky with the armor, but a bit like the 430 you cannot trust the armor to be consistent all the time. You can sort of bounce tier 8s with no problem, but anything above that is going to pen you, and then if they bounce you, you're going to get lucky. Just like most tanks, right? Like, you're not going to consistently bounce people with medium tanks, just that's the way mediums are. So the turret armor, just like every other Russian medium out there, is really, really strong. The hull is inconsistent. And then that's pretty much it as far as the armor goes. I don't really think the armor is what makes this tank. For me, the beautiful thing about this tank is its firepower, mobility, and camo. So let's talk about the firepower. What I've got is it's got 320 alpha, 264 pen. With my setup, and I don't run it with food because it gets lit on fire all the time, you can see I modified my T62A crew and I put firefighting on them, and even with firefighting, I've decided to run fire extinguisher because the fuel tanks are right at the front, like right here or something, and you get lit on fire all the time. So that's very, very common with this vehicle. So I run fire extinguisher, so I don't have food, so I've got 0.33 accuracy, 5.37 reload, and 3578 DPM. Now, as far as the mobility goes, you can see it's got 16.74 power to weight ratio, which, as far as I'm concerned, is like light tank levels. This thing's extremely mobile, and so that's one of the beautiful things about this tank. You've got a 59 traverse speed, and then a top speed of 55 and a reverse speed of 20. As far as the camo goes, you can see it's 25% when you're moving, which is basically what that means is 25% off a vehicle's view range. So if someone has 400 meters view range, they'll only spot you at 300. And then when you're sitting still, you've got 32%, which is fantastic for a tier 10 tank. Like, you totally don't get spotted when you're trying to carry, unless you get spotted on purpose or unless someone's like right on you, in which case you'll spot them too. So this thing does not get out spotted very well. And then you can see with my setup, I don't run optics and I don't run food. I've got 430 meters view range. Now, that's pretty much it. As far as this crew goes, I've put my T62A crew in here because it's the best crew I have. You can see I've got Brothers in Arms, Sixth Sense, Jack of all trades, Eagle Eye. I wouldn't suggest running Eagle Eye. I just wanted to try it. And then I've got a view range skill, so situational awareness. And then for the gunner, I've got BIA, repairs, camo, snapshot, which, oh well, I just kind of chose it because there's no other options. And then I've also got firefighting because, like I said, these things get lit on fire all the time. For the driver, I've got BIA, repairs, concealment. Then I did preventative maintenance because this thing gets lit on fire a lot. I wanted to try to mitigate that. And then I also went with firefighting. And then for the loader, this thing gets ammo racked all the time. The ammo rack's right in the front of the vehicle, so it's very common for you to get tracked and ammo racked at the same time. I've got BIA, safe stowage, repairs, camo, and firefighting, and that's my crew. Equipment is VSAB, rammer, and vents, and then I run 2520, large med kit, large repair kit, and whatever this is called, fire extinguisher. There we go. So that's this tank in a nutshell. Let's go look at how it plays, and hopefully, that will actually give you an idea of what this thing is like. So off we go. Alrighty, so for this game, we're on Fisherman's Bay. I'm top tier in the 907. I'm platooned with a Super Conqueror. And for this game, what we're going to do is we're going to be playing E6 right off the bat. And what that position lets me do is it lets us get shot on heavies who drive into the city. So typically the way this map works is heavy tanks love to follow this road into the city. And if you go to E6, like I'm going to do that, I'm going to be able to get some early damage. Now, this position does not work in all tier 10 games because of what happens in tier 10 games. The mid is way more popular when there's all tier 10 tanks there, but you can see this is not an all tier 10 game, so I'm perfectly happy to take this bush, and that's actually going to give our team the ability to totally erase a type 4 heavy from the enemy team. So that's what I'm going to do. You can see I'm shooting at them now. What I've done is I've poked up to this bush so I can see through it. That's going to let me continue to spot people. And because of the people that I spot, I'm just going to shoot at them. I'm not really going to play bush mechanics because eventually I'm going to spot an E100 and a convoy. And those, you can see, like, the convoy's 400 meters away. He's probably not going to spot me as I shoot at him. And so I'm okay sort of taking this risk right here. Now, the 100's lit, the convoy's there. We're going to focus down the Type 4 Heavy because if we can just delete an entire Type 4 Heavy off the enemy team, that would be great. That's exactly what we're going to do right here. He's on 445 HP, going to get one more shot into him. I do get lit. Now, I don't know how I'm lit, but because I was able to get rid of that guy, I was okay to be exposed for maybe like 4 seconds or whatever. And so we finished him off. And that's the early damage. So that's how you play this map right at the beginning. It seems to work fairly consistently. You do have to be careful. Like typically light tanks will rush down the E line, so you do have to be aware of that. But once that's done, what I like to do is I like to come up to E4, sort of regardless of my tank, because what happens is if you get lit right off the bat, people are going to notice you. They're going to start focusing you down. Artie's going to aim on your location. So I like to generally go to the other side of the map to try to get shots in people. And you can see that's what I'm doing right here. Now, what I'm going to notice is that I don't have shots, like the M48 Patton isn't being aggressive. The M46, it would be suicide for me to go fight him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go play the city area. I'm just looking for opportunities to get damage, because if I were to play too aggressively, that would get me killed and would probably lose us the game. I mean, I can't see that right now, but if I died, it would have been a loss. So what you can see is I've come to the middle. We're looking for shots on perhaps anyone who really lets me. One thing I want to point out, though, and this is something that I didn't notice at the time playing it, you'll notice the location of the M4, the M46, the VK, and the 110 they're not aggressive. So the C100 in the city is actually going to be able to sneak up all the way up to that corner. You can see he just got lit on the map as I put shots into this low. There's an E100 right here. None of our teammates spotted him. And so I notice him, like after a couple seconds of being lit, I look at my map, I see that there's an E100 in the city, and then I notice who's defending the city. It's a VK, a 110, an M46, and an M4, and the M4 isn't really even helping out the city. So this E100, supported by his T10, is probably going to be able to just ruin our entire team's chance at winning if he's aggressive and plays intelligently. So I'm coming to deal with this problem because obviously it's a problem. So what I've done is I've come to this location. I don't play here often, so you'll notice I don't really know if I'll have shots on the lower plate of the E100 or not. I decided that I don't have shots on his lower plate, and so I'm just going to be reloading heat. I don't want to get lit as I shoot these, I'm not going to shoot him with APCR and get lit and just totally ruin the surprise that I had. So I switched to heat, didn't get spotted, put a shot into him, and then now you can see the team is being really, really aggressive. We're able to put shots into him. And right here, I'm going to be using the 907's armor. So what you can see me doing is I'm doing something called reverse side scraping. What that does is it gives him a very angled shot on the side of my 907, and the thing is most E100 drivers will be spamming pure heat, so AP probably would have a better chance at penning me at this angle, but I'm assuming he's shooting heat, and so you can see making the side scrape angle, and he's going to put heat into me, and you can see it bounces because I'm giving him spaced armor to shoot on. So that's kind of reverse side scraping in a nutshell. You can see the M46 Patton him, the M46 Patton flanks him, gets the kill, and now we're in the situation where we've got a KV4 and an M46 pushing into our base. Now, if you looked at the map right now, you would probably not expect this game to be close. I mean, I would expect a Foshby to kill a KV4 and an M46, no problem. I think what happens is this Foshby is probably going to get hit by the 183. Yeah, he does. I didn't even notice. I just predicted that on the spot. He dies to the 183, and so that's going to actually give their team a huge edge on the one line. So eventually they're going to be winning the one line, and that's going to be a risk. So I'm just pushing this T10 because I want to get the kill. But the purpose of killing this T10 is that we're going to win the city, and then we'll be able to come back into our base without having to deal with a T10 pushing back into us. So you can see he's face-hugging me. He actually damaged my fuel tanks because I'm used to playing with heat. I mean, with food, I repaired them, but that's just a force of habit. You can see he misses his second shot. I get the kill, and now we've basically won the city apart from a low. So when I look at the map right now, I would be worried about the base. The thing is, they've got an M46 and a KV4 pushing into a Sol RHM. If they're 183, who, in all honesty, is a top-tier tank and is kind of likely to have supported them or maybe drive with them because they've won the side, pushes into our base, we're probably going to get capped out. And so what you can see me doing is I'm pushing into their low because I want to get the kill, and then I want to come back to base. At least that was my plan as this was happening. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to get Artie. That's going to change my mind. I decide not to come back to base because what I've learned, when you're trying to carry games, you need to get rid of Artie. The problem is when you're trying to fight like a 1v1 and you've got 800 HP and the enemy's got 800 HP and then Artie clicks you for 400, that totally ruins games. So my objective here is like, if I want any chance at winning, I'm going to have to kill the M4043. Now, luckily, he shot at me, showed me exactly where he was, and then even more luckily, the FV is playing the mid. So he's not really going to be in a huge position to cap out, and then by playing where I am, I'm going down to k5, I'm actually going to have shots on him as he plays the mid. So I put a shot into the M40, that's because no one would have been pre-aiming me where I was, so no one was really ready to shoot me there. Put a shot into him, not going to do it again though, because the STRV is probably in J2. I don't really want to get shot at by him as I play this location, and so I'm playing it relatively safe. But I'm also going to be getting shots on one of their only tier 10s left in the game. And so from this location, you can see we've got shots in this full HP 2 marked 183 who's in the middle of the map. And honestly, if I wasn't here, his position would be absolutely devastating for our team. So you can see I'm focusing on getting rid of him because he was full HP. If I can kill him, that'd be great. There's a Patton at J4. I'm not really concerned about him because he's below me. I can shoot at the 183 no problem and avoid getting hit by the Patton. The STRV did hit me, so what I'm doing is I'm backing up. Normally I would just sort of sit there and shoot at the 183, but because he's shooting at me, I'm backing up and making sure he doesn't have a very high probability of sniping my commander's hatches or whatever. Put a shot into the 183, that right there, that was blind, and we're going to take another blind shot. Don't really think that was the smartest thing considering the STRV immediately puts a shot into me. It was a bit of a risk, but you're going to see I'm going to continue to take these shots. I don't think they're very smart, but I also kind of understand why I did them. The goal was to try to just remove a tank with 1,000 alpha from the fight, and so I took a bit of a risk to do that. Didn't pay off, but luckily I didn't really get punished for that risk either. So what you can see right now is we're in the situation where the RD's dead. There's a one-shot 183 in the mid. The M4 is actually going to kill that guy. And what's going to happen here is this interesting situation where they've got... Well, we know there's an STRV here, which is likely because, first of all, my platoon mate told me. But also, he hasn't been lit all game, so he's probably camping in their base somewhere along the one line. The situation that we're in right now is that it would be really, really bad if they got on cap. So... and we've got a VK pushing into this camping STRV and Patton who's on half his health. So what I need to do is I need to figure out a way to mitigate the risk of them capping and then also make the enemy pay for killing this just the VK who's YOLOing into a TD and a half HP tier 10. So where I can do, the location that I can make this play from is going to be E5. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the mid. That's going to let me get shots on anyone who's in this area. And then it will also let me get shots on the STRV if they're lit. And then likewise, from the mid, I can shoot at the M46 Patton if he gets lit. And so putting myself in the center of the map seems to be the best play that I can make right now. And so that's why I'm here. It's literally so I can support all of my teammates who seem to be needing a tremendous amount of help. Now, the VK does do something useful. He spots the M48 Patton. That lets me put a shot into him. He's now at 775. What I'm going to do is I don't know where the STRV is per se. I also know that the one line is kind of clear from the M46. So you can see he's at G2 instead, as opposed to where he was last lit. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to challenge the M48, who literally just... I mean, the VK just died to the STRV, so we know where the STRV is, we know where the M48 is. I'm going to shoot at the M46 who's out of position. That's going to let me pick up the kill on him right there. And suddenly we're in this 2v2 situation where luckily it's a 2v2 because it could have been a lot worse when we had just thrown away 800 HP or whatever. So what you can see me doing now is it's going to be a very slow game. I know I've got 6 minutes left. There's a Patton who's on 700 HP. He's basically a 3-shot for me. And then they've also got a full HP STRV. The risk here is that I throw away HP uselessly. And so literally while I was live streaming, I was thinking about what I was supposed to do. Now, there's a lot of options right now. When you're trying to make a play like this where you know where the enemy is, you have the whole map open to you for possibilities. So what I'm doing is I'm changing the angle. That's going to buy me some time while I try to work on this problem. I know I could make a J4, J5 play kind of like the VK did, but just like the VK demonstrated, that's not going to be smart. And so, these are things that are running through my mind. We don't actually get a shot on this Patton right here. I'm in a position to shoot at him, but he lights me through the bush. How? I don't really understand it, but that's how it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm unlit. I don't want to lose HP as I play this. The STRV gets lit while I'm waiting to get unlit, so we put a shot into him, and that was just a badly aimed shot. What can I say? Luckily we're able to get the second shot into him, and so now he's a 3-shot, and then there's also the 3-shot Patton left. So Meanwhile, our RHM is pushing up the one line. That's kind of dictating my pace right here. Because he's being aggressive, I don't want him to die in vain if he gets YOLO'd by the Patton. As I was live streaming this, I was like, if that M48 Patton's smart, he'll push the RHM because the RHM was alone. That would have been a great play for them to make. Luckily, they didn't do that. And so we're in this situation now where I've got the RHM who's on the one line. He's fallen back a bit. And then I'm a 3-shot for kind of both players on the enemy team. So right here, I'll fast forward it because what I was doing is I was thinking, I thought about J4, I thought about pushing the K line. Those did not seem to work because they could easily push the RHM or they could have easily pushed me. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to play this bull up here. That's going to give me the ability to try to find out where they are. Maybe if they get lit while they shoot at me, the RHM will be in a position to support. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking as I'm playing right here. Now, one thing that happens here is I get lit. I don't know how I get lit, but it's going to give me some crucial information, and I'm also going to use it to my advantage. So right now we know where the M48 Patton was last spotted. He's probably in the H3 area. Don't really know where the STRV was to have spotted me. I'm assuming that's who spotted me. What's going to happen here is I'm going to take a hit. It's the STRV. He hits me for 393. That really, really significantly reduces my ability to carry, though. Though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the angle. So I was just spotted right here. I know the Patton, if he's intelligent, will be coming to shoot at me because I just lost damage. And the best way for him to do it would be to be playing this ridge, give or take, because he'd be hull down against the 2-shot me, and he's a 3-shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the angle. I'm kind of expecting that M48 Patton to be looking for shots on me, looking for the STRV as well. And so what this play does is you can see the M48 Patton was literally pushing me as I was driving away, and he's not even ready for me to be in this location. So put a shot into the side of his turret just as he notices, and then he's going to, it's basically just us brawling right here. So he puts a shot into the dirt, I put a shot into his commander's hatch. He's a 1-shot, the RHM is going to pick up the kill, and then from here it's basically just, we'll have won the game. You can see the RHM gets the kill right there, and now we're just going to drive into the STRV who gets himself lit. He's a 3-shot, and the RHM puts him into him, so I'm going to get the ram kill right here. Alrighty, so as you can see, that was a Mastery Badge First Class, 83,000 credits, 2100 XP, High Caliber Tank Sniper. I still have no clue what those medals are. 7,000, 24 damage, 5 kills, and 11 module, etc., etc. I don't really care. Team score came top on the team for damage. The Borsig did an outstanding job with 3,700 damage. Striker's a piece of shit, only did 2,500 damage. So much for him being a goalie. No, that's a joke. Okay, anyways, we'll go take a look at the next game, and we'll call it after that. Alrighty, so this game isn't so much about the result, it's more of how this tank handles being in an all-tier 10 game, and then also an all-tier 10 game where your team kind of dies. So this is a loss, but I think I played it relatively well, and hopefully it should show you some of the strengths of this vehicle and how it can perform in high stress, close combat situations. So we're on Steps, standard game. This is one of my favorite maps in the game because there's so much you can do. There's a lot of open space to fight around, and I just think it's pretty solid. So what you can see is I'm taking this position. Now the reason, so normally I'm a lot more aggressive on this map. Normally what I'll do is I'll play up here. The problem is, if you look at where our team has kind of gone and how they've played, we only have... Two of our strongest mediums are playing low. So the way this map plays out is if you play low, the enemy can just win the high ground and screw you over. And so my fear is that I'm going to get YOLO'd by some bad shot, and if I were to play the aggressive position that I like to take, I would get them killed, and I would also die without, being very impactful. So I'm not being aggressive because I've seen how my teammates are playing, and I don't want to be a victim to what I consider to be their shitty play. Now, one thing that's going to happen here is they've got 2 mice and a 57 heavy. Normally you can expect mice and 57 heavies to be playing on the one line, but that's actually not going to happen right here. So what you can see is our team has fallen back. We're now in like A7, and very, very quickly their mice and 57 heavy are going to be pushing down this line, and that's going to be when we decide to run away. So right now I'm just trying to hold this angle because I don't know what's coming. To me it seems like a fair fight. We might be able to win this. If they play it badly, we've got an E3, etc., etc. So from my position right now, it's like, okay, well, we're being really defensive, but maybe we can win this. And obviously, I'm even more thankful I'm not right here anymore, because with this E50M poking, if I had been here, I would have been so screwed. So good play as far as I'm concerned to be playing where I am. You can see I still am able to be effective because they're pushing into me. I'm able to put shots into this 140, got him tracked. No one else is shooting at him just yet, but that's just the way this game works sometimes. So one guy shot him. He's now on, well, there, he's dead. That was pretty easy. So from here, it looks like we're going to win. We do have 4 tanks right here. There's just a hull down 907 and then an E50M and a 140 in shitty positions as far as I'm concerned. What's going to happen, though, is that mice, like, we're just fighting it. We don't really have to watch this. It seems pretty boring to me. But what you can see happen is the mouse gets spotted. So it's just one mouse right now, but they're in a platoon, right? And I paid attention to that. So I know, like, he's not alone. There's no way he's alone. The other mouse isn't lit. Neither is the 57 heavy. So very, very quickly, this situation is just going to deteriorate because they're going to have like an extra 9,000 hit points on this flank, and we're just 4 tanks. We're not going to be able to deal with that, plus the other 3 tanks that they have. So, to my slid, we're going to leave because you can see, well, the 140 is leaving. It's important to watch your teammates because if they abandon you, you don't want to be caught unawares by that. So knowing where your team is really important. You can see our Batchat is just pushing despite us pushing away, trying to clip out a 907 and a Batchat's not very bright anyways. So he's going to die. You can see the E3 is still where he is. He's in an E3. He can't really leave. But the 121, myself, and the 140 have all left. And that's because we don't want to fight a losing battle. It makes no sense for us to stay and try to do 15,000 damage or whatever it is. Like, what are the chances of that? So what I'm doing is I'm falling back. Now, the goal right here is to defend the base because it looks like we're kind of pushing into their team. So if we can push into their base before they get into ours, we'll be at an advantage. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to play from here. And so very quickly, the situation is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. We do okay on the south, but it's not actually going to be that great. So here you can just see me sniping with this tank. It's actually kind of infuriating sniping with Russian mediums. There's going to be a situation like I'm going to have shots in some of the mice, and I'm just not going to take it because the thing's accuracy is so bad. So definitely wouldn't really recommend sniping in this tank, but I wouldn't really recommend sniping in anything, even if it's a leopard, because that thing can't snipe. Neither can this. So you can see E50M pushes up. I'm in this situation where ideally I should have some support because I've got a grill in a position to shoot stuff, and then I've got 3 mediums. The E50M is looking away, but I've got 2 mediums who are in a position to help me out, and so we've sort of created this crossfire. Right now it looks like we could possibly win this because we're tank up, but what's going to happen is we're going to lose the south, and that's going to screw us over. What I wanted to show you is this. I've got shots on this mouse, and they're actually decent shots. Like, these could pen if they go where I was like trying to put them. Specifically, these shots right here. I could try to pen that mouse, but you'll notice I'm not taking them because I don't trust the accuracy on this tank. I mean, I aimed for his lower plate and I hit his turret. So that's one thing that I wanted to show you. And then the next is right up here. So what's happened is we fast forwarded a couple minutes. They're pushing into me. So my instinct right now, all things considered, would just be to run away, because what's going to happen is they've got 3,000 HP mouse and then a 2-shot mouse pushing into me. They're also in a platoon with a 57 heavy, so it's foreseeable that very, very quickly I'd be fighting 2 mice and a 57 heavy, but you can see I don't feel safe running away. I kind of expect the grill, the 4005, and the 2 mediums to have shots on these guys, but you're going to see they basically cross while only taking 1 shot of damage. So that was a bit infuriating, but what's going to happen right here is they're just going to be able to drive into me. And so this is one of those shitty situations that you sometimes find yourself in, particularly when you trust your team too much. Like, they weren't able to shoot the mice. They're pretty high on HP. I get hit by the 57 heavy, and so foreseeably I'm going to get pushed by 3 people. And this is the shitty situation I wanted to talk about. So what I'm doing right here is we do have some pressure from this 140 onto this mouse. You're going to see it's actually going to stop him. The mouse doesn't want to push into a crossfire. I'm going to be putting shots into him, and then he's going to stop right about here because he notices the 140 or something to that effect. Now, what I'm doing right here, when you're in a situation like this, you want to be shooting at the lowest HP to remove the amount of guns shooting back at you. The 140 does a brilliant job of killing the second mouse. That was good focus fire right there. And now we're in the situation where we've got 1,700 HP mouse in front of us, and then another 57 heavy crosses without taking any down. I mean, the 140 shot him once, great to him, but the FV4005 could have hit him for 1,000, and that just didn't happen. So right here, we're farming the mouse. At the time, I was kind of amazed. I felt like he was letting me farm him for free, and like I didn't mean that ironically, but you can see we're getting pushed. The E3 shoots at me and misses. That is lucky, but I am getting pushed by an autoloader, and then the E3 also let me know that he's got a line of fire on me, so I can't stay here as there's a 57 heavy YOLOing me. So the only thing to do when you're in a situation like this is you're going to see me do it. The 57 heavy's chasing behind me. I'm kind of faster than him. I'm going to YOLO the only cover available to me that I have that isn't something the 57 heavy can drive over. So I'm going to push into the mouse. I want to get rid of the lowest HP vehicle here, bounce the E3. This guy's a 2-shot, and that's going to give me this I'm going to use him for cover, obviously, as I'm fighting him. And this is what I wanted to show you. The armor is not reliable on this thing, but you can get lucky, and it does seem to work semi-consistently, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't try to use my armor against the mouse. I didn't try to use my armor against the E3, but each time I got lucky, and it all worked out. So right here, you can see I am trying to use my armor. I'm side scraping. I bounce him for whatever reason, and then he bounces me. As I'm watching this over, I actually think he's reloading right now, and he's doing a pretty decent job of faking it. Like, he doesn't shoot me there, which is kind of awkward in my opinion. Like, why didn't he shoot me? But I don't think I could have known this as I was playing. One thing that does give it away, though, is the way he looks at this tank. So when you're fighting an autoloader, generally, if they're chasing you and they can clip you out, you know they're loaded. But he's not chasing me, and he's not even looking at me. Like, he's looking at a dead tank. He's not prepared to fight me or anything. And so I have this suspicion that he's actually reloading. So what I do is I'm starting to be more aggressive. You can see he confirms that he's reloading by running away. He doesn't shoot at me, and that's kind of what gives it away. Right here, I'm just brawling. I'm not going to win this fight, but I think it's relatively... I don't know, like, some people said it was textbook or whatever, so I hope it was helpful or informative to how to deal with that situation. I think the best play that I made this game was pushing as I was getting chased by the 57. That let me turn this into a 6,200 damage game, and, I mean, that's about it. Like, that's all there is to this game. I was just sniping, running away, and then at the end I gave it my all, but we ended up losing. So that's it. Let's go talk about this tank and let you know if I think you should get it. Alrighty, so in the tier 10 whatever thing they're releasing, you have the option of like a couple tanks. You can get the M60, the VK72R1, the 907, the 95 E6, or the 121B. So I've talked to a couple people about the choices of tanks in this lineup right here. In my experience, most people hate the 121B. They hate the 95 E6. The 907 is good, but for all the hype that the 907 gets, it's like slightly overhyped. I think the reason it's overhyped is because only good players have it. So when the average player, it's kind of like the Type 59 hype, right? Like anyone who owns a Type 59 knows that it's absolutely trash. But the thing is, generally older players have the Type 59, so they're going to be slightly better at the game. They make it look more impressive than it is. And so I feel like the 907 suffers from overhype significantly. Really though, your only other options, like as far as competitive tanks go, is the VK7201K and the 907. Like, M60 is just a tank you get for the looks, and I actually find it enjoyable, but I wouldn't call it competitive. So really it's probably one of the worst tier 10 mediums actually as far as it goes. So I wouldn't call any of these three mediums competitive. The only ones that are actively used in Clan Wars is the 907, and then I've heard really good things about the VK7201, specifically in pubs. A friend of mine tells me he does not regret getting it. So it depends on what you're after. If you've got a German crew and you want to play this thing, get the VK. But if you're a medium player like me, 907 all the way. I really don't regret getting it, but just be aware, if your expectation is that this thing's going to be like overpowered tank that is just right click, left click, it's not going to be it. It's a bit of a Russian medium with worse gun handling and kind of troll armor that you can't really rely on. So that's my experience with this vehicle. I would highly suggest it. I don't regret getting it. Yeah, if you've got a Russian medium, go for it. So that's the video. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.